All Quiet on the Western Front is the new World War I movie out on Netflix, and I'm very excited to give you guys my review for this movie. If you've seen it, be sure to leave a comment of what you thought about it. As well, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get into this review. So unlike most World War movies that focus on American or British soldiers, this one focuses on German soldiers, which I really liked. It was sort of a different point of view of the war a little bit, but it just a bit of a different take, which I thought was cool. The main characters in this are a bunch of young German friends who enlist, and it's World War I, sort of when war was more promoted as this really exciting thing. So these young friends sort of have that mindset. They're very excited to head off to war, but they soon learn about the horrors of war. The first act of this movie doesn't waste much time. It gets right into things. It opens up with a scene from a battle, then it cuts to the friends enlisting, getting into the army, and it moves really fast for them getting into their first battle, which I liked. It was nice that this movie at the start was moving really quickly, and the actual battle scenes themselves were filmed wonderfully. It did a really good job, in my opinion, depicting just how rough and how scary battles could actually be. There's certainly scenes that, for me, after seeing a lot of other war movies, there's definitely scenes in this that feel like they kind of do a better job conveying how scary situations could actually be. There's a scene where everybody's taking shelter in this bunker while there's bombs being dropped, and it's very claustrophobic and stuff, and the ceiling is doing this stuff like that. I thought that was done very well. The performance in this were great. Everybody, I thought, did a really good job in their roles. Also, the makeup and costume designs in this movie was really good. Like when everybody in the battle, when they've gone on the ground, their clothes are all muddy, their face is muddy, and then later on they still got the mud on their face, but it's all dry. The makeup for it, I thought it was terrific. And again, the performances were all terrific as well. The battle scenes in this were all great. The movie also does a really good job of showing some of the after effects on the people from being in battle, just from what it's like for them just sitting in between different battles, or even once the main battles are over, you get to see sort of how that's affected people just not being able to live with it and stuff like that. It was done very well, and it's very tragic to watch. I've seen a lot of movies that will show sort of that PTSD shell shock from afterwards, but this movie sort of combines in what's happening in the actual battles, but that has that aspect as well of the PTSD. And I find not every movie has both, but this one had both. I thought it was done very well as well. And one of my favorite scenes in this movie, actually probably my number one favorite scene in this movie, is a scene in battle, but it's still a scene that shows that effect on people, where the main character kills a soldier from the other side, and then he has this effect where he's scared. The guy, he's not quite dead, he's got blood coming out of his mouth, he's not breathing well, and then the main character decides he's going to try and help him, but he can't because he stabbed him multiple times in the chest and stomach. And he looks through, opens his wallet, sees a picture of the guy's wife and child, and you see how that affected the main character. The actor did a great job in that scene. He did a great job throughout the whole movie, but that scene, I thought he did amazingly in it. But that scene, I thought, was very powerful. Just the effect of first killing this person, but even after that, when it's already affected him, just continuing to affect him when he sees this guy had a wife and a child, a family. So I thought that scene was absolutely amazing. The movie also shows some stuff that was going on behind the scenes of the battles, where France and Germany are trying to come to this agreement to have a ceasefire and just stop the war. So you got that going on, and it also has scenes with this, I believe he's a general who's very much a guy who feels like he's just meant for battle, meant to be in the army, that sort of thing. And when they've already signed the surrender, the ceasefire, and he's like, okay, we're gonna have this one last battle to try and have this one last victory, the movie does some stuff to show that, and the actual like signing of the ceasefire and the stop of battle, stuff like that, which I thought was interesting because I've, with history classes, we've been taught about stuff in the World Wars, but it's always been more focused from the Canadian point of view because I'm Canadian, I live in Canada, so it focuses more on that. This is showing more the German side, which is one of the things I really liked about this movie, is it's focused on the German army. So I thought that was really cool as well. For me, I just have a couple of issues with this movie, and one is I found the second act got a little slow at times. The first act I thought was very fast paced, and the third act moved at a really good pace too. There were just moments sort of in the second act when there's no longer any battles going on. It just got kind of slow at times, and I started getting like, oh, okay, it's after feeling very fast paced, it just slowed down a bit too much for my liking, but it wasn't the whole of the second act that was like that, just parts of it. And then the other part that I have a bit of an issue with was because this movie moves so fast right from the get-go, is I find it didn't give much time to like allow me to really care for the main characters. Like, you didn't know much about them. I think the one character that they call Kat was the one that you got to learn the most about throughout the movie. But the other ones, like the main character, you found out some stuff, but not a whole lot, especially in the first parts of the movie, that when they're in battle, you're invested in what's going on, but I just wasn't too concerned about the main character because I just didn't know much about them. As well, it's a group of friends and not all of them make it, so as some of the friends are getting killed because you don't know much about them, I just didn't feel much emotion that the movie was trying to convey because I wasn't connected to these characters. It was more, I think the movie was more focused about getting right into the battle stuff than giving some time for the characters. I think if the movie just slowed down a bit at the start, because the first act was quite fast paced, I felt, just to build the characters a little bit more, maybe show them a bit more, having that idea of this war being this exciting, adventurous thing that the propaganda was making it out to be. A bit more of that, so there was a bit more of that shock once they actually got to battle. There was a bit of that there, but I think they could have done a bit more and just given a bit more character development to the main character, because I just wasn't too invested in the character. But other than that, this movie was great. Like, the way it's filmed is amazing. It looks great. All the battle scenes are like top notch the way they're filmed. It's, I don't want to say exciting, but it's amazing to watch. There's scenes that are like actually make it seem like really scary to be in. Does a really great job with some of the after effects on the people. Some of the background stuff going on too, I thought was really interesting. Just not the investment into the main characters, and a little slow in the middles, what my issues are, and not having that investment to some characters is an issue I have with a lot of other war movies too, not just this one, other ones like Dunkirk, 1917. I love those movies, but not as invested into the characters as I am to the more of the situation of what's going on. That's sort of what I was like with this movie. So overall, it is a great movie. At the moment, one of my favorite ones of this year. I'm going to give All Quiet on the Western Front an 85%. This was a great movie and a good Netflix movie. It's out on Netflix now. So guys, if you have seen it, let me know what you thought about it, and stay tuned for some upcoming videos. I'm going to have a video of The Good Nurse coming out in a few days, so stay tuned for that. And until my next video, take care everybody.